Good evening, guys. Going to do another video for you tonight. I know I've already posted one this evening. It's November 22nd, not far from Christmas. I'm going to do a little portrait tonight of my daughter. So that's the picture that I'm going to be working from. Just thought I'd quickly show you how I find the proportions and get things right for a portrait. Really important that you get certain things in the right places, because basically everybody's face is the same. It's two eyes, a nose and a mouth, a hairline and eyebrows, with a chin and cheeks and ears. But depending on where they're positioned will either make the portrait look like the person or not. I'll show you quickly. If you were to draw a triangle from the edge of the nose out, this triangle will be the same on this piece of paper as it has got to be on this piece of paper, but obviously it's going to be different from everybody. The triangle from the edge of the nose, or the bottom of the nose, to the edges of the mouth has got to be the same on this one and this one, but again it's going to be different on everybody. So let me show you what I do. I'm going to find the middle of the page. As you can see, I've used a dark pencil and I've found the exact centre of this piece of paper, and quite lucky for me, I'm using the same size piece of paper this time. I've blown that photo up and I found the same two centre lines, down and up, horizontal and vertical, and from there I'm going to find some points of interest. I'm going to use this. It's called a proportional divider. It's a glorified compass, really. Been used for hundreds and hundreds of years. Someone like Da Vinci, Michelangelo, all the great artists that have used something similar to this to find proportions. But basically it just allows me to measure aspects of the portrait, so corner to corner, nostril size, nose width, mouth width, and it's going to allow me to transfer that onto the page. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's going to take me probably half an hour or so, so I will come back to you when I've plotted my picture out, and then we'll do a few time lapses and see if we can get most of this drawing done tonight. Thanks a lot, see you later. Hey, just thought while I was in here, just plotting this picture out, I'm going to show you a really cool tip actually. If you're working from a one-to-one basis, which means the picture that you're drawing is the same size as the picture that you're working from, what you can do is a little trick just to make sure that you are lining things up. So basically what I've done is I've measured out this right-hand eye. I've just got the basic shape of it, but just to make sure that it's in the right place and it's roughly the right size. If you place the picture on top of your drawing exactly, so the corners match up, and then simply flip between the two, can you see how it looks as though I've got pretty much the eye placement the same? If it was in the wrong place, you'd see the eye underneath jumping around. So that's a really cool trick, just to make sure that you've plotted it out all in the right places, which is going to give you the correct look at the end. I'm going to crack on plotting this out. I'll see you in a minute. Got two eyes in almost now. Just thought I'd show you the little bit of progress that we've made. If I go back to our little trick, I'm going to show you the eyes. So if I flick that on and off, you can see that the eyes are in the right place. The iris is about the right size and it's in the right place. So far so good. Okay, I've got an iris and a pupil in the right eye here. Thought I'd just quickly show you how I find that. When you're looking at an eye, obviously you don't see the full circle of the iris here. The actual circle would come up over here, but you can quite often see the rounded part at the bottom. Your iris is bang in the centre, so it doesn't matter whether the eye's offset or not. The iris is bang in the centre, so I will try and find the centre point. And then looking at the picture again, I'm going to work out roughly how far across this is in comparison to the edge of the iris. So I am eyeballing this, I'm not measuring this. You don't need to measure everything, you need to train your eye. So I'm just going to put some faint lines in for the width, and then I'm going to again do this the same using my reference, and I can see that top of the iris almost comes to the top of my, if you look at the picture, you can't see it on it, it's too dark, but basically where this highlight is, that's about the top of the iris, and it's just about level with this line. So I've squared this off. I'm going to edge it off, make these edges rounded, and then I'm just going to get this as round as I can. It doesn't need to be perfect at the minute, this is just guidelines. You're not even going to see these lines. I'm using a 5H pencil at the minute. You won't see any of these lines towards the end of the drawing, even about halfway through, because it's so light. Pretty happy with that. I'm just going to block that out just to give me a sense of what it's looking like, and I'm just going to keep it really light. Let's do our little flicking trick, like an old-fashioned cartoon really, isn't it? So we're not far off. I know you can't see the darkness of the pupils there, but I think we're pretty good with the eyes. I'm happy with that. I'm going to crack on. See you in a bit. Okay, so eyebrows looking pretty decent. Nose is in. There's not an awful lot on this portrait actually. If you look at the picture, there's not a lot of detail. It's such a young face. There's no wrinkles or anything like that to go off, but it's looking pretty good so far. Let's just have a little look at our just check to see everything's okay. Get my hand out of the way there, silly. Yeah, so nose is pretty good. One thing I always think at this stage is, oh my god, this doesn't look anything like the portrait. Don't worry about that. The line drawing never ever does. It is literally just certain lines. As soon as you start adding your tones in, it does start to build up, but I don't think it really starts to resemble the person until you're probably a couple of hours in. You've got some darker tones in, but you can see this is coming on quite nicely now. I'm going to crack on with the mouth, and then I'm just going to get the general shape of the face, and then I think we're ready to start blending, and not blending, shading and then blending. Get a bit of the hair in a second. It will start to look, it will start to resemble the person, in this case my little girl. So hopefully next time you see me I should have the mouth in, and some of the shape of the face. See a bit? So I've got the outline of the mouth in. It's looking pretty good. Not far off from finishing the planning now. Going to crack on with the shape of the face, get this ear leveled out, but that's pretty simple if you didn't know already. Pretty much every human being on planet Earth, the edge of the bottom of their ear lines up with your nose. So if you were to draw a line through there, it comes out to there, and the top of the ear, you can't see it on here, comes out to about the eyebrow. And people always draw our ears too high up or too small, but if you look at that, that's going to be quite simple to get. I'm just going to draw a couple of lines across, not too far off. See when I've plotted the face. Okay, and there's the shape of the face and the chin finished. Let me show you how it matches up. I think we're about right there. And my hand's in the way a little bit there, but I think we're pretty good there. I might just alter the left hand side of that mouth. The bottom lip looks a little bit fat to me, so I'm gonna alter that slightly and just taper that in just a fraction. I don't think I've shown you this actually. This is invaluable. It's a Mono Zero pencil. It's like one of the, a razor. It's like one of the mechanical pencils that you get, but it's just got a rubber tip. Really good for rubbing out fine details, getting really close into certain edges, highlighting areas. About £2-3 I think it was from eBay. It's made by Tombow. Really good. The refills are quite expensive actually. I bought some the other day. They were £6 for the refills, but I think the whole thing only cost me £3. But yeah, I'm babbling. Really good little eraser. You can see them lines are coming off there. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's have a look at the picture. We're going to have a look at the hair, see if we can get some shape of the hair. and then we're about ready to start shading. Okay, getting the hair in now. Hope you can see that I've lined off this side here. I've made sure that I'm coming out as wide as I need to go, and I've just started to get a feel for the hairline. It's very faint compared to the picture at the moment. That's because I'm still using this 5H pencil. It's dead easy to rub out. Just thought I'd quickly show you how I'm getting some hair effect in. Again, we're using the tapered stroke that I've showed you in the previous video that we were looking at drawing the spheres. When you're drawing hair, you don't need to get every single strand in. You need to get the general flow direction of the hair, and then you need to build the layers up with these tapered strokes. Drawing hair is exactly the same really as drawing anything else. You look for the areas that are lightest, start off with the dark areas, work towards the light, shading, blending, but you can see that's filling out. I don't know how it looks on the video, but again, like I said, it's very, very light. I just need to get a rough idea of where this hairline is, how it falls across the forehead, the general flow of it. I've got a little bit of hair down in this bottom corner here that I'm going to have a go at. I can see that it's almost level with the eye, so I don't need to measure this. I'm okay to eyeball this. Tapering the strokes out again. This comes in here. I don't need to be too worried about the fine details yet. Like I say, you're barely going to see these lines anyway. Once I've started laying down some of the darker values, let's just decide where our shoulders are, sort of level with the mouth here, coming down that kind of angle, slightly lower this side, coming through the hair. That's possibly a bit steep, but about there. We're not too bad on that. We've got some hair coming down here onto the neckline, so that's coming from behind the ear. I always think that my little girl's ear is quite big on this right hand side as I'm looking at it. When I'm drawing it, I think there's no way that her ear is that big. In reality, her ears aren't big at all. But it's strange how your eyes can play tricks on you when you're really just outlining things. And that's why it's so important to get your proportions right, because quite often what your eye tells you is correct is actually far from the truth. So making sure that you've got a few ideas. So again, like I said, this nose here runs level with the bottom of the ear. If we look at that on the picture again, nose, bottom of the ear, we can't see the top of the ear, but like I said, it comes up to about the eyebrow. So somewhere across there would be the top. I'm pretty happy with that, I think. Obviously on the picture here I can't see really where this comes off, but we can get a general idea from the shape of the other side, the general idea. That's way too tall there. There's a little bit of guesswork there, but we can refine that as we go on. In actual fact, what I'm going to do is, let me show you what I'm doing. I'm going to measure this distance from this centre line here to the edge there, so I know that the hair's coming out this wide, and I'm going to measure from the top of the paper, and it's just going to give me the bang on, so I know that is actually where this hairline needs to come. So I I was quite a bit out actually. Looking at it again, that's what I said to you, didn't I? About sometimes your eyes do play tricks on you. Okay. I don't love the shape of that actually. It looks a little steep still. This is going to come up here. Possibly because I had tilted at an angle. It looks at an angle. That's fine. Okay. I am going to rub these centre lines out now. What we're going to use... Where's my little girl? Put it. She's a little devil. She likes to draw a bit herself. She's actually promised me that she's going to make a video for me one day doing her little drawings. But the little devil has taken my electric eraser, which is quite a cool. Oh, here it is. Let me show you this. So this is a Derwent electric vibrator. It's not a vibrator, of course it's not a vibrator. It's a vibrating eraser. There we go. I suppose it is a vibrator. Vibrates. Let's just push that in a little bit more. That's just going to help me take the lines out. Vibrator. What is on your mind? Just looking for, here we go. So I've actually got a small eraser with a brush on the end. Just important just to take the bits of rubber off, because you don't want anything marking your paper. You don't want anything there smudging it, oils off of your hand. So I like to just move the excess rubber and graphite just away with a tissue will do if you've got one to hand. I've not got any to hand at the minute. Oops. So we're just going to take these lines away now. Like I said, you're not even going to see these. Probably didn't even need to take them out, but you won't see these once the drawing is complete. Let's give that a wipe away. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, what I like to do, I've seen lots of different views on it, but I like to cover my entire picture with a 4H base. So I'm going to time lapse that for you because it's pretty boring watching that. You don't want to leave anything really on your page white. The only things you really want to be white are the highlights in the eyes. They're the only things that are going to be white on there. Possibly a few highlights in the hair here as we're coming around. So we're going to cover the entire thing with my 4H. That's the 5H. I'm going to get the 4H. Where are we? These pencils actually are Derwent graphic. They're pretty decent. They cost me, I don't know, maybe about £20 from a store that we've got in England called WH Smith. There's the packet for it. Derwent graphic 24. They're okay. Find it. I suppose it's with all pencils. You get a little bit of grit in them sometimes. You got to make sure that comes out, and you're not marking the tooth of the paper with it. Make sure we've got a sharp pencil. I'll just get started, just showing you what I'm basically going to do, and then I'll time lapse the rest of this. So let's start in here. I'm just using that tapered stroke again that we've spoken about already in this video, and also in the sphere video. Gives you control over it. I'm holding the pencil. Like I said, I'm not holding it like you're taught to hold a pen and pencil in school. You end up getting too dark a line, which is not something that you're looking to do really. I notice when I'm babbling on to you guys that when I start to concentrate, I hold my breath and I have to stop talking. I suppose that's a bit stupid really. I bet some people stick their tongue out when they concentrate. I don't do that. But yeah, so using the edge of this pencil is what you're looking to do. We're just filling in all of this. I'm not going to fill the hair in, because the thing with hair is we need to try and get the strokes going in the direction of the hair, the way that the hair's falling. So I'm going to do that separately, just as a set of hair. I'm just putting a piece of paper underneath me now, because as you're filling in some values, your hands moving in the same spot quite quickly and quite often, so you do tend to smudge, get oils on your paper, and that picks up all the graphite and the charcoal, whatever you might be using, and can ruin your picture. I drew a picture for my mum and dad. It was actually of my two girls. I've just finished it. There's a picture on, I think there's a picture on YouTube, I'm not sure, but there's definitely a picture on my Facebook page. If you go onto Artistic Nick, Artistic N1K, the same as the YouTube channel, there's no underscore on it on Facebook, but basically there's a picture of my two girls that we had taken of us on holiday, and I drew it my mum and dad for Christmas as a present and put it in a frame for them. But I started off, I was probably about 10 hours into it, and started using a little bit of charcoal on my eldest girl's hair, and found out, unbeknownst to me, that there was actually a fingerprint right in the middle of her forehead. So as I started to fill it in, it just picked up the graphite and made it look darker, and I couldn't get rid of it. Literally couldn't get rid of it. So it ended up ruining the whole piece, so I had to start again. So using this piece of paper and making sure that you are keeping the paper clean and free from grease. You can see I'm touching it up here. I'm not going to fill that, and I don't think I'm going to fill that, and I might do a light grey background, depending if I need some contrast. But you can see I've got a bit of grit in here, and I can hear it. I can hear that, so I need to get rid of that. I'm gonna sharpen the pencil. We don't want the grit in there. That's a definite no-no. Because once you mark the tooth of that paper, you're gonna, no matter what you try to do there, you're gonna fill it out. Anyway, I'm gonna time lapse the rest of this for you. You don't need to see me doing this and babbling. So in your time, it's probably going to be about 3 seconds, 4 seconds. I'm probably going to be here for another 20 minutes. So I'll see you when I've done the 4H base layer. Okay, I hope that wasn't too boring for you. It didn't take me that long actually, it only took me about 10 minutes. So I've got that 4H base layer. I'm using a brush here to do the blending. I don't usually use a brush, I only bought these yesterday. I do sometimes use this one that's on the back of the eraser, but I just thought I'd give this a go. I've seen a couple of videos myself where some really traditional pencil artists, I think one's called Daryl Tank actually, is one of my favourites, and he doesn't use anything other than a brush to blend. I've never even seen him use a tissue paper, and the theory behind it is actually that if you use anything too heavy when you're blending, you damage the tooth of the paper, so you can't remove graphite. So I'm going to give this a try. If I don't feel it's giving me this smooth enough blend, then I will I'll move on. But that's the 4H base layer gone down. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. I've not done this here. I thought I'd save you the joys of, or give you the joys of watching me just quickly fill that in. It's only going to take a few seconds. So again, like we say, we're building in this. Now, as you can see, that I'm already starting to lose some of my darker areas. So the darker part of the ear here, you've got to be really careful that you don't lose those, because like I said, I've only put it in a, what was it, 5/8. There's a bit of grit in that tip of that pencil again, so I've got to try and remove that before it damages the paper. What was I saying? Yeah, you've got to make sure that you constantly filling in your darks, just to make sure that you don't lose them, because there's nothing worse than losing your plot lines or losing the edge of something and then getting it slightly wrong in the end, because you've messed up. So I think I need to just darken some of this hair up, because I can see myself losing that. So we just pull some hair down from the hairline, just so that we keep the depth of the hairline. Where's the fringe coming? So I'm looking pretty happy with that. Is that over or under? That's under, so that's going to be darker there. And then that, to give the illusion that that strand of hair is underneath. The one over this one here is on top. But again, we don't need to worry too much about that. This is still in the absolute infancy of the drawing. And what have we done so far? Probably about an hour maybe. And I've probably got another 4 or 5 to go. So that's looking better. I'm not going to lose that hairline now for a while. So I'm going to do another time lapse. Actually, I'm going to just go through the dark areas. Let's have a look at our picture again. So we're going to go eyes, eyelids, up into this, darken around here, darken the mouth. We're going to darken the whole face off. We'll probably go up to we'll see what an HB looks like in that. See how we get on. So I will give you another time lapse. I know they're a bit boring sometimes to watch time lapses, but it's better than me gabbling on, talking nonsense for the next hour. I'll keep popping in and doing a normal video every now and then, just to see how we're getting on, see if you're still awake. I'll catch you in a bit. Okay, so a bit of a time lapse there. You can see I've added an eye in here. I've started to do a little bit of the detail. So I'm just going to have a go at this one here. See if you see what I'm doing here. So I'm just looking for the darkest part of the iris. I think earlier on I was talking about the pupil. I kept calling it the iris. So apologies for that. I'm not a Dumbo. I did A-level biology. I do know the difference between the iris and the pupil. I just had a brainwave. So I'm looking for the darkest areas on this dark bit there. The top bit's the darkest, as I'm looking at my reference photo. When I'm shading the iris, not the pupil, or vice versa, I like to go in straight lines out towards the edge, so from the pupil to the edge of the iris. If you look at somebody's eyes, it's made of, I suppose they're called striations, if anything. but they're basically loads and loads of little tiny lines, and it looks a little bit like a marble, I guess. So if you build your base up coming away from the pupil out towards the edge, then you can get that effect, and it looks really realistic. I've drawn some eyes before, and you look at them afterwards and you think, wow, they almost look like a photograph, which is always good. So again, I'm never going to get my dark values in with this 4H, so I'm not worrying too much. I just need to know where they are. I'm going to blend that. Add my highlighting. I've boxed that off slightly, but you have to make sure that you keep blocking that out, rubbing that out again, because you end up losing where you've positioned it, and you don't want that, because you can ruin the look of an eye if you position the highlight in the wrong place. How it's looking now. Looks a little bit like a manga character, I think, at the minute. But like I said before, honestly, I've been despairing with some of my pictures before. Early doors, you know, a good hour into it, 2 hours into it, and thinking, oh, this is terrible. In actual fact, the one that I did recently, the Morgan Freeman picture, I was up really late one evening a few days ago, and it just looked awful. I thought, this is terrible, it's never going to come together. And actually, it did end up turning out quite good. I don't think I've put the finished picture or video up yet on YouTube, but again, it is on my Facebook page. I've also got Instagram. I've never been on Instagram before, but my little girl set me my Instagram account up, so it's artistic Nick _ Nick. So artistic is in artistic, and then Nick is in Nick N1K, because unfortunately some bugger has taken artistic Nick, the name, for both YouTube and an email address and a Facebook page, pretty much everything. So I had to go with the slightly off key version with the one instead of the I. So artistic _ Nick, and I'm on Instagram now. So coming back to that, you can have a look at my Morgan Freeman picture, which was charcoal, pencil. When I started adding the charcoal, I thought, oh, I've ruined it. I thought I made an absolute hash of it. But actually, a few hours work and a bit more patience, it didn't turn out too bad. I did make one mistake on it that I'm kicking myself for now. I plotted his right hand nostril slightly wrong. So the picture that I was working from had his nostril tapering up, I think it was, to the centre of his nose. And I'd got it tapering down. I think that was because it's such a dark picture that I actually, like I was saying to you about not losing parts of the parts of your planning, your plotting lines, not losing them as you are going darker and darker, because it does ruin it. And it was funny because the whole time I was sort of drawing it, I thought, gosh, this looks like Nelson Mandela. And then I came home today from work, and my mum and dad picked the girls up on a Tuesday from school. But the first thing my dad said when he walked in, he was like, oh, Nick, I absolutely love your picture of Nelson Mandela. I said, and it's not Nelson Mandela, it's Morgan Freeman. And I think there's just a couple of bits. We actually looked at a picture of Nelson Mandela, and it doesn't really look like him that much. I think the hair, more than anything, makes him look more Nelson Mandela-ish. But it was funny that I was only thinking that as I was doing it, and then the first thing my dad says was, oh God, that looks just like him, that does. I says, who? Nelson Mandela. I don't know. It's getting late. I'm amusing myself as people that know me know that I tend to do that. I'm actually a tennis coach by trade. That's my job. I do tennis coaching and PE teaching actually to primary school kids, which is amazing. So I'll no doubt get some stick off of some of my students for making these videos of me babbling off in the background. But it is late and I do need to keep myself amused. I need to go to bed soon actually, because I have got a 7:15 in the morning, 7:15 AM tennis lesson with one of my young proteges. So I do need to be alert and awake. So I'm going to finish this eye, perhaps do a little bit more shading. The battery's nearly out on my camera anyway, so I'll resume this tomorrow, I think. But you can get the general idea that we've picked out the darkest areas of the eye. Pupil's always the darkest. Pupil's always the darkest part of your picture. That's black, always black. And the highlight is always the lightest, that's always white. So I just noticed that I think I've got the pupils slightly small on this right hand eye. But because, like I said right at the start, it doesn't need to be perfect straight away, because you notice these little things. When you're staring at a picture of something for so long, your eye really does get finely tuned and it spots the little differences and the little blemishes. I like that eye, this side's looking good. I think the hardest bit about getting the eye right is getting it to look wet, because your eye is wet, isn't it? I mean, it's why we blink, and if you can just get those little highlights and the dark spots in the exact place, it transforms your drawing, because it doesn't look like a drawing. It, again, from a distance or under some lighting, it looks like a photograph. And the lighting that I'm doing this under is terrible. My wife's supposedly buying me a artist's lamp for Christmas. So unfortunately, I would have gone out and bought myself one. I tend to just go and buy myself whatever. And my wife always struggles every Christmas. What do you want for Christmas, Nick? Oh, I'm not too sure. Probably a voucher for somewhere or some money or something. But this year, now she knows I'm actually wanting something. She's put her foot down and she says, "Don't you dare go and buy yourself a lamp. I'll really be disappointed." So unfortunately, I've got to put up with this poor light. And the light in the dining room where I'm drawing this is not ideal either. But hey ho, we do what we can. I'm sure there's been artists out there in the world at some point in time that have had to draw on candlelight and things like that. So we're not too hard done by, are we? I mean, electric lights is something to complain about. But I don't always think that the photographs and the videos do the drawings any justice. I always think, and people that have looked at my drawings say that when they actually see them in real life, they do look a lot better. I guess that's the same with anything, isn't it? I've got a few more darker tones in there. I don't think that's dark enough here at all. But I don't want it the same as this. This is dark up here, so you can start to tell when you're going to need to move up a grade of pencil, because I can't get this 4H really much darker here without damaging the tooth of the page. So I'm almost ready there on that eye to leave that alone and work that's much too big, that highlight there, and work a different pencil into it. So I need to trim this highlight down slightly, it's too big. Looked silly. So there you go. So that's the beauty of using these 5H and 4H and 3H to start with. You can get it right and get it wrong and get it right and change it up and rub things out, whatever you want, as much as you want really. That's looking good. I got a new iPad a couple of months ago, I think it was now, and we got the Apple Pencil with it, which is, it's amazing, really. I will do a video just showing you basically what it can do, because it is fantastic. What a piece of technology that is. It does react pretty much the same as a pencil does, so it reacts to pressure. You can change the pressure, so the harder you push onto the iPad with the pencil, the darker the line is. You can turn your pencil, so if this is the pencil, you can turn it on the side and shade the same as we are doing now. It's really good. I don't use it too much because I just feel that before I start going on to try and use digital and all types of gadgets, I just feel I've got to master my art really on pen and paper. I just like the feel of the pen and paper. It just feels more natural, I guess. But I've done a couple of drawings on them actually. They're not too bad. But I will do a video showing you how good it is actually. It's probably something better just to show your mates when they come round and have a doss about them. But I've seen some people on YouTube that use it. They're professional artists, and some of the work that they're producing on there is fantastic. But at the minute I'm enjoying just doing it the old-fashioned way, the way that I was taught at school or whatever, which is a bit dark under there. Okay, well, I think that is enough for now. I'll get back to this tomorrow after I've had my day at work, and I might even upload this, what I've done so far, and call it part 1, just so that you can follow it in. It's not going to take me as long to upload a half an hour, 3/4 of an hour video as it is 2 hours long, so I might do that and then pop off to bed. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've not fallen to sleep. I'd really appreciate a like on the video, or a subscribe, or come and follow me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, leave us a comment. You know, I'm always open to tip and helps, and if somebody thinks I'm not doing this right or I could do that better, I'm always learning. So yeah, just leave us a message in the comments below if you like it, if you don't like it, if you want to know what kind of pencils I'm using again, or where you buy the paper from, or whatever. Because again, when I first started out drawing, I didn't know any of that. I went to W.H. Smith's and bought a cheap pencil, and don't get me wrong, I'll still be in good stead. I can still do some decent drawings with the cheap pencil and a cheap pad of paper, but yeah, it's just nice to know when somebody's already gone through half of the process or a quarter of the process. It kind of speeds your learning up and gets you to a better stage quicker. So if you want me to do a little video on the pencils or the charcoal, or you know, this thing, this chamois leather it's called. I'm not happy with that nostril there. Okay, I'm signing off. Catch you soon.